Hey everybody, Will and Matt here from Downtime Activities. I know we're start just about every video with today we're doing something a little different.
A little different this time.
I get sick of hearing that when I'm editing. But we wanted to kind of take a minute to talk about this kind of past year for the channel and stuff that we've got in the works. So it's kind of a year in review video as well as a channel update video. Because, we're kind of in an interesting position here at the moment where this is the year that we started the channel. Mm-hmm. And obviously kind of reached the end of the year, which at least for me is always kind of a reflective moment.
Yeah, I think for most people.
And we've got a lot in the works. We've got a lot of stuff, a lot of ideas that we've had kind of since we started posting videos, as well as some much newer ideas, stuff that's been in the works for a long time, stuff that's just sort of recently begun working on, and we just kind of wanted to take a moment, even just really for ourselves to talk about it.
Talk about it, think about it, reflect on
it for a little bit here. So we're going to kind of start with 2021, kind of just looking back on the channel and some of that stuff, and then we'll go into stuff that you're working on, stuff that I'm working on, and just some kind of stuff like that.
Teasers for the future. So to start with, 2021, wild year for Downtime Activities. The only year for Downtime Activities.
The year of its birth.
The year of its birth. The year of our Lord.
Well,
Downtime
and that's
Activities.
it's mostly true. A lot of the groundwork for Downtime Activities was laid years ago.
In the doghouse.
In the doghouse.
Back in the day.
Way back when we all lived together. Mm-hmm. We had kind of tried to start a YouTube channel a couple of different times. At least one channel, I don't think we ever ended up posting anything, despite recording 4 or 5 videos or something like that. They were all just terrible. It's just 3 of us sitting next to each other. In kitchen chairs in front of a blank wall.
Yeah. Which is that much better than us now.
Yeah,
but
no mic,
mm-hmm.
no, it's 480p, if that. Just,
not good.
Very long time ago. Downtime Activities was always intended to be a much more sort of serious attempt.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the year that we actually, sort of began working on any of that stuff. Koskian put in all the effort, both in purchasing some of the equipment that we've used for a long time. You
mm-hmm.
got a hold of a bunch of stuff, and Koskian put in all the time to learn how to edit and just formatting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we started with MTG Commander decks, which we still do
intermittently,
off and on, as well as the Savage Worlds review. And even back then, we had a pretty good idea that we wanted the reviews to be something that we did consistently.
Definitely.
We have several more written that haven't shown up on the channel yet, but will at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of quickly became clear that there was kind of a hole for Savage Worlds content, and that people really liked the format of that original review video. I really like the idea of sort of as the game master writing the review and giving a breakdown of the system, but having the players give their thoughts. And at the time, obviously, Jerry was very new to tabletop RPGs, and I really wanted his perspective on it because it was his first one. And people definitely sort of latched onto it. And that's something that's been so much fun for me. It's just how well all of you guys responded to that format. It's every one of those RPG videos that we reviews that we post, we end up with comments about how people like that the players are part of
the player feedback, and I think that was a simple but genius idea to come up with, and I think it's just a good perspective. It's the game master versus the people playing in a game will have a different opinion on it and kind of have different insights to give towards someone interested in trying the game system.
No, when I started eventually DMing after having been a player for years, it totally just flipped my perspective on the whole system. It's the same game, but it's just completely different. And we all really wanted both sides of that coin. But yeah, so we finally just kind of got it off the ground. Obviously, videos were very slow coming out for a while. We weren't recording all that much.
Yeah, especially initially, it was.
And then with Koskinen going back to school, and then his just utterly insane class schedule, just like slowly taking over more and more of his waking hours, and then more and more of his sleeping hours.
And when your editor is being consumed by a university, then all of a sudden the videos can't come out as easily or as quickly.
Well, and then with him being on the other side of the state as well, it just put us in a sort of difficult position. So I ended up taking over as editor. I'm not nearly as good at it as
very
Koskinen.
good at it. I give you props. Every video I feel like I've seen has been better and better.
I feel like every time I'm done, I'm like, I think I made that work. Some of them have come out pretty well. So 2021 was obviously the year that channel was founded, if you want to look at it that way, and it has sort of gone through some iterations and stuff. We've really put an effort over the past few months of doing 2 videos a week.
Yep.
Because you and I have just kind of had the desire and the time to do that. Which we've done almost every single week.
Christmas and stuff.
Yeah, and the schedule kind of gets moved a day either direction every once in a while, but it's, for the most part, we've made it work, and we sort of quickly decided we wanted to have a couple consistent series, those kind of being the Bonus Action Podcast and Help Action. Which I really enjoy the Help Action videos, even though I haven't written or recorded one yet. It's pretty much all been you.
Yeah.
But I've just really liked those ones quite a bit, and I really, even though nobody's watching them, I really like the Bonus Action podcast recordings.
And I think this is an important part to kind of take a moment back and be like, there's maybe 6 or 7 people watching this, and 2 of you maybe aren't us or our friends that are watching this. So we understand the channel is still very small.
Yes.
We're 81 subscribers right now at the time of recording this video, which is insane to me.
Yes,
the fact
absolutely.
that we don't have 2 subscribers because Koskinen didn't feel like subscribing is that's insane to me.
I'm pretty sure he's subscribed.
I'm
the
so.
one who's not.
You're the one. Okay, he's the scumbag who's not subscribed. We could have 82. The point being, it's small. Our channel's small. We have quite a few views, like you're saying, the Bonus Action, which are some of our favorite videos to record because it's just us having the conversations we would have anyways. They don't get a ton of views, 5 or 6 views for those, but we have some in the 1,000, couple thousand, and some smaller. It's just the fact that there's been any response and any interaction is it's so exciting.
No,
so
absolutely. Cool. And quite a few of the videos, like Savage Worlds original Savage Worlds review is past 100 likes at this point, and that feels really good. That's really cool for something we just sort of did. That really feels good, and I'm really happy for that. And then obviously, so we've tried to do kind of a couple of consistent series, and then the Tuesday slot's always kind of been just whatever.
Yeah,
it's been either those videos or just sort of whatever we felt like making. And then we've tried to make the Saturday slot or the weekend slot be a tabletop RPG recording. We weren't initially planning on recording the Star Wars campaign at all.
No.
You just raised it
why not
as
just record the audio?
Right.
Yeah.
You kind of raised it when we were getting ready to begin. We all agreed that it's we might as well. It just gives us more to put out. And I wish that the quality of those had been a little higher, but it was always meant to be a really informal game. It was just meant to be nobody else can meet to play a game this weekend, so let's just do the Star Wars campaign. That's why it was always just a smaller group. It was always meant to be a little more informal. I didn't put as much planning into it as I would with other campaigns, but it was still a ton of fun. Really, your guys' characters made that campaign.
And the interactions between them and stuff. They're very fun.
It really just quickly became so much more than it was sort of intended to be. As
campaigns tend to do.
No, absolutely. And that's part of the reason that I love just sort of this industry as a whole. So sort of talking about the Star Wars campaign, kind of last note on that. We are taking a break from it.
Has the last episode of it gone up now? That's the last episode of
the Nest Part 2 is sort of where we're stopping it.
Possibly temporary punctuation mark on this particular story.
We felt like it was at least a good point to pause. We might come back for, sort of season 2, I guess.
Yeah.
At some point in the future. If we do that, there will probably be a little bit more prep work and stuff in it, and it'll probably be a bit more production. Than there was before. But we just felt like sort of wrapping up this sort of first arc as Apex is sort of just beginning to explore his force powers, and it's sort of bookended by these interactions with the Imperial Inquisitorius and
bastards.
And it's but you guys are just at this sort of transition point of like really beginning to explore the Jedi, and you've now sort of pulled a job for the Rebels, which like the Rebels are going to remember that you guys pulled this off.
One of them that came with us did survive, so he will tell the story and they'll know just how we pulled it off. But hey, we pulled it off. They know they can rely on us to
you guys are just at at kind of a cool transition point, and it feels like a thematically good place to pause it and
to begin releasing other content.
Yes, it was kind of inspired by two things. We have at the time that I was running the Star Wars campaign, I was also running another campaign, which has since ended.
A Savage Worlds game that we were playing,
and had a just gorgeous finale. You guys, it was one of those times where the dice just really supported the story being told, and just that whole finale was just wonderful. And I was actively planning 2 other campaigns, both of which will release on the channel. One sooner than the other, but I just kind of between that and editing and my own writing, I was just like dealing with a lot. So we kind of had the discussion about bringing the Star Wars campaign to a conclusion. I haven't played in a campaign, like an actual campaign, for a very long time,
and I haven't gotten to run. Yes. For what feels like a really long time.
And you are by far the better DM, so...
arguable, I'll take the compliment, but like it's been so strange for me over this last year, 2 years, where like I was the game master for our group for years. Like I was just I loved running the game. I was the original person who asked people if they'd be interested in trying way back in early college time. And so having this long break, it's been so nice. I mean, every person out there who's a game master knows that like you became a game master because you found this game and you wanted to play it, and then all of a sudden you're like, dang it, I have to run it all the time. But so beginning to play is awesome, but I am excited to be running games again, and that's some of the content coming out too.
Right. So before we get into that, let's go over the sort of the one last thing from this last year. That's kind of a big deal, which is Metroville and its
collaborating
Kickstarter and collaborating with Tyler and everything. So,
when he first reached out.
Right, I'll tell sort of my perspective of this.
I'll probably agree with it, and then give you mine as well.
So I was on my way over to a buddy's house. I stopped at a grocery store on the way. Of course, I was driving, so I didn't notice that I'd gotten the text. I'd check it, like it's like 15 minutes or half hour late or something like that. And it's just a string of 3 or 4 text messages from Costigan about getting an email through the Downtime Activities email account from a guy who had reached out, who had seen, and at this point we had less than 30 subscribers. We were just about 30.
We were half the channel we are now, which is still a small channel.
And he had seen the Savage Worlds review and was wondering if we were interested in reviewing a in-process superhero RPG rule set that was going to have a Kickstarter, and he wanted us to do sort of a similar review and maybe some other content like gameplay and stuff like that. We just all immediately thought it was a scam, to be honest.
At first we're like, we don't even have we have 28 subscribers or whatever who would be reaching out to collaborate
like less than 1,000 views total on the channel. Yeah. Like there's no way that somebody who was creating an RPG rule set was like
these are the ones. They should look at my new.
I'll reach out to these guys.
creation.
Tyler, if you're watching this, thanks, buddy. Like, seriously, it really does mean a lot to us that you did reach out. And so we end up, like, essentially on a business call for, like, 45 minutes that night of just, like, okay, what do we think about this? What's going on here? What do we want to do? Over the course of which I'm just Googling, like, Metroville RPG to see if I can find anything about it. And I stumble across a Reddit thread from somebody looking for a superhero RPG rule set, and one of the comments was, I presume, Tyler.
Shamelessly self-plugging.
Yeah, saying that he was working on an RPG rule set. If people were interested in being sort of beta testers, he could send them an early version of the rules. Here's sort of what it was like, and it was very much the same sort of description we got in the email, and that immediately made me be like, okay, this is probably legit. Like, obviously this is a thing that somebody is working on, and they're kind of trying to get word out about it. So we emailed them back, set up a Zoom call for that weekend, and just came away super pleased with the whole experience. Just really impressed with Tyler and everything that he was working on. Seriously, Tyler, like, excellent work. For just, like, being created in sort of such a short time span and by one person, it really is a wonderful system. So then we were just sort of immediately excited about the potential and about the project, and got an early version of the rules, ran a one shot, really enjoyed it, and then from there did the review and the interview and everything like that. And, like, just overall, it has been such really just a pleasant experience. And it was just a super cool opportunity. And sort of through that, then sort of the same thing happened again. Somebody saw the Metroville review and reached out to us about looking into another sort of in-progress game system, which seems to be something quite different. I think there's some potential to it, and I think at least the core concept behind it is fascinating. So I'm interested to see how it works out. It's something we haven't
crunching on it and see
really dived into yet. But then obviously just a few days ago, the Kickstarter went live for Metroville and is actually doing pretty well so far.
I earlier today saw that it reached 50% of its target, so I hope it goes all the way. We're backing Tyler. We're very excited to get our hands on the book, so hopefully it gets backed enough that I can get a copy of it.
I do really want a physical copy of it.
Yeah.
It's it really is a cool system, and it's something that I'm proud to have as sort of part of the Downtime Activities
part of the history.
Collection. Yeah.
Part of the history.
So that to some degrees kind of wraps up at least what I want to talk about for 2021. Is there anything that anything else you wanted to go over?
My experience was very similar with Metroville. I think that, this last year, it has been, from the start, Downtime Activities, the way I kind of viewed it was like, if this took off and people started watching, that'd be neat, but I'm just having fun making these videos with my friends. And so,
even the video that we all hate the most was one of the funniest to film,
and one of the most fun, like, editing processes afterwards. All sitting together.
It was a group editing process, and we cut out like 45 minutes or an hour of just completely unusable footage. Not unusable because, like, the audio quality's bad or
we're bad. The audio quality's fine.
It's just
the us quality is bad.
It's like a bad trip. It was like a bad trip watching back through that footage.
I feel like every step of the way, though, there's been improvement, and, like, I feel like we're really starting to come into our own, get ideas, and some of this stuff we have coming up, I am uber excited for. We have some awesome stuff coming up, and that's what I'm honestly, like, looking back, all the interaction we've had from people, likes, comments, every comment we get, we're like overjoyed. We're super excited to get to interact with people and have people see our content and have an opinion on it, good, bad, or other. We love it.
It's just been cool how many people have had, like how many people have commented who have very similar experiences with Savage Worlds, and who, how many people who just, like, were fed up with, like, 3.5's clunkiness or 4th edition's clunkiness, or wanted something that wasn't just strictly fantasy and went looking for other systems and stumbled upon Savage Worlds, or people who we're kind of considering maybe, like, had heard some of Savage Worlds and thought maybe it could be cool, and we're just looking for more information on it and came across our stuff. Like, it's just really cool how much of that there's been, and that, like, hopefully we've contributed to other people picking up the system and using it themselves.
Because we love it. We enjoy playing. Which is why... Perfect transition. We have 2 different campaigns upcoming that are both going to be using that system and being released on the channel.
And they're both showcasing sort of 2 different sides to Savage Worlds, I think. They're showcasing both its capacity to be kind of gritty and grounded, and its capacity to really nail the sort of pulp adventure, the very sort of the Mummy, kind of feel. Which is part of the reason I'm really excited about it. So first is which you're constantly referring to as Yeehaw Spooky.
The Yeehaw Spooky campaign.
It is a Deadlands campaign.
For those familiar with Savage Worlds, it'll be the Deadlands. Deadlands system will be used a lot. I am not taking Deadlands canon. I'm not using their story at all.
The Deadlands lore
Think
is
of it,
weird.
It's not for me. Might be for you, not for me. It is gothic horror thrown into a Western. That's the way I would describe it. And the cast of characters has come together in a really cool way. I'm very excited to run it. It's probably going to be our consistent weekly release video. The first of which might come out in a couple weeks' time. Once again, recording a video, so I'm on call. I
think that was Matty G, though. So.
Yeah, it is Matty G. But that'll be, I think, we're a couple weeks out from starting filming
probably.
it, but in that time, we're going to kind of have some probably session 0 stuff, get everything ready, and then hopefully in a couple weeks' time, those will start showing up on the channel, and that'll be our weekly release. And then we have another Savage Worlds campaign. The one that I'm going to be running, those who have, if you're watching this channel and have watched the Star Wars stuff, this will be video and audio. There's going to be some visual, some more post-production work done to it. We want a little more polished product. We want to kind of use what we've learned and apply it to our gameplay stuff.
Right, and that's kind of part of the idea, too, is that, like, every campaign we film, we want to sort of have another element that the last one didn't. This one is looking like going to be, obviously, you as the marshal in sort of Deadlands terms, or the game master. Myself, the Gottschalks, Matty G and Jocelyn. Skler and Jerry.
Jerry will be Robot Jerry.
Right.
He does not live in the same state as us.
Right.
Anymore.
The recording will be better. We're going to do it by a totally different method than just having the mic sort of set by laptop, like we did for the Star Wars videos. But that's kind of the cast of characters. They're all very different. I'm really excited for... I know sort of hints of what Matty G's character is going to be. I think that has the potential to be very interesting. I really like the concept that Jerry's working off of, with being this, like, doubting Thomas, the supernatural doesn't exist.
In a world where the supernatural will try and kill him, so that'll be a good time.
I think that's... And like, that paired across from other characters is going to be very interesting. And obviously you've put a lot of work into the world building. I've
taken time to do it.
I've done a little bit of work with some visuals and stuff.
And you've seen some of the visuals I've worked on.
And I'm quite excited about it. I have never gotten to play in Savage Worlds.
This will be your first time playing in Savage Worlds. It's true.
I'm quite excited to
my
jump
first time
into
running,
that.
So be gentle as players. You won't be. You won't be. I know you won't be. I'm ready.
I don't single-mindedly break every system with every character I create like you do.
Allegedly.
You don't do that. You don't always do that. No. You have...
I tend to do that as a thought experiment, and then people pressure me into making it a real thing.
Or you sort of end up doing it by accident. And it turns out, like... You were a very high damage character in the Savage Worlds campaign that recently finished. Part of what really ended up breaking sections of that game was Matty G's Barrier Mage, I think. He used that to great effectiveness. It was also just a phenomenal study in making a useful character who wasn't necessarily a combat-focused character.
And a useful in-combat character still, even though he was not a combat-focused character at all.
Which is also something that that same concept is kind of going to get explored in another Savage Worlds campaign. The one that I'm planning. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with the Western campaign, or should we move on?
I don't think so. I think we're good to go from that. Just very excited to run that Yeehaw Spooky. Let you guys try out.
Quite excited to.
I've put a lot of thought into the world and naming and creating, and there's going to be fun interweaving plots, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, replaying Red Dead Redemption 2 for inspiration.
Exactly, of course.
Yes, I am quite excited for it.
Wait till the tuberculosis arc. It's going to be sweet. Hope it's not you, but, the dice are going to do what the dice are going to do.
Well, my money's on Jerry's character, I think.
Probably.
So, sort of in the same vein, and this doesn't have quite as solid of a release date, despite the fact that most of the prep work is done. Part of the reason we're holding off on it, it's going to be a little bit more of a production, is my adventure campaign. The very first thing that I ever ran in a tabletop RPG was
back in the day,
a long time ago, was Indiana Jones and the Mummy, kind of Uncharted Tomb Raider inspired game in a completely bastardized version of
5th edition D&D,
which worked well, but
worked surprisingly well for us, just tearing it apart and putting it back together.
I didn't really know what I was doing running it. We did a few sessions. The characters were excellent. But we're sort of revisiting the concept again, but in Savage Worlds, which is sort of built for campaigns like this.
Yes.
So if you're a fan of movies like the Indiana Jones series, The Mummy, or
classic
games
adventure serials,
games like Uncharted and stuff like that, that just the treasure hunting,
Nazi
trap dodging,
punching.
Oh yeah, you're gonna punch some Nazis.
At least one of my characters.
You'll probably do things much, much worse than punching to Nazis, and they'll deserve it.
They will. They're Nazis after all.
Yeah. Of course they were going to be the villains. So this campaign is set in the 1930s. The characters are kind of a group of treasure hunters trying to, keep the Nazis from acquiring ancient artifacts of great power, more or less. Some of the characters have been statted. A lot of the characters have kind of been decided on. I've put a ton of work into the visuals for, clues to some traps or what some things look like, and documents and stuff like that. Because I really want to help sort of get the feel across. And it's something we've really wanted to post on the channel almost since the channel began. And anytime you've heard us making reference to, I'm working on a Savage Worlds campaign, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah. Long time in the works.
And which means that a lot of stuff has really come together for it and is looking really good. And so I'm quite excited to begin running that. You are, of course, breaking the system and playing 2 characters.
That's...
Using a hindrance that shows up in some of the Savage Worlds books, the Explorer's Edition, sort of alternate or settings books, which is the dependent hindrance, which is marvelous in the right campaign. So I'm quite excited about that. But it's we're really trying to nail the Indiana Jones,
and we have lots of ideas for what we're gonna do. How much of all of it's gonna come through, I'm not sure, but possible visual as well as audio additions, post-production stuff to just really make it a cool experience, which is why it's not going to necessarily be our weekly release.
Right.
The Yeehaw Spooky campaign will have cool stuff. It'll be video as well as audio, so it'll be an improvement off the Star Wars stuff by a long shot, but the adventure serial is one that we really want to spend the time with, and so it'll be a little less consistently released, but hopefully really polished and really cool when it does come out.
So that's been in the works for a long time. We're all very excited about it. I am extremely excited to see exactly how your characters play out and how quickly you just break stuff and do stuff that I didn't see coming.
How we get halfway into a room reading a map of a trap sideways and not realizing it, only to trigger a trap and then realize we've gotten to the middle of the room without knowing a single way of how the trap works.
It will forever be one of my favorite moments in just all of our history of playing tabletop RPGs, is you guys getting into the middle of that giant room and then realizing that you have no idea how the trap
We
works.
sheer dumb lucked our way reading a map completely wrong into the middle of a fully trapped room, and then halfway in the dead middle where we're surrounded by traps, we realize we don't know how the trap works, and we still have to get the rest of the half across this room.
It was
exceptional.
that like just moment of realization was such a beautiful thing.
I'm sure many moments like
So
that.
I hope so. You know, and it's always, especially for a campaign like this, which is relying heavily on sort of traps and puzzles and riddles. It's really a balancing act of like how complex do I want to make some stuff, how sort of obscure, because I want to have those sort of Indiana Jones moments where like, you know, like in the third one when they're standing in the library, you know, and Indy's standing there with the whole like, it's like he wasn't looking for a book about the tomb, he was looking for the tomb itself. Like you said yourself, this used to be a church. Like he's realizing everything sort of in real time, putting it together, and I want to have those moments without you guys being just told.
Yes.
So that's always that's a fine line, and we'll see how well it works.
I think overall, specifically, and this is not to speak poorly about anyone else playing in it, specifically because Matty G is playing in it and because I'm playing in it, it's going to be two very different ways of doing this. But you know Matty G is that person that if you have any sort of cipher, any decoding, anything, and you put that in front of him, he's just going to destroy it. Like, he's going to be so all about that.
I made him... I didn't make him. I presented it to the group, and he was the one who did it.
Self-elected.
But I knew when I was making it that Matty G was going to be the one who would do it. So I essentially made Matty G translate a whole book from runes like into common or into English in the first D&D campaign that I ran, and he loved it. All about it, and he was texting updates for like a week of just like, holy shit, this thing just got revealed. Holy shit, I just found out about this. And then you guys slowly beginning to realize that there was more to that book than just what was in the text. Like there was finding the sort of map in there at one point, being like it's like I'm just looking at the world map to see if the mountains on this map line up to any specific two mountains on this map. It's like, I don't think he would have put that detail into it. And then just this moment of like, oh my god. And then like you guys
that was a great reveal,
finding this location and going back.
But anyway, we have the Cipher Master with him, and I've played enough lawful neutral detectives at this point that I should be good at solving clues and puzzles and riddles. So hopefully it's
I'm just excited for just everything about it. The set piece battles, the locations. I'm trying to put a lot of work into sort of historical vignettes.
Oh yeah.
And just making sure at least a lot of the details look and feel right. So I'm quite excited about it.
It's going to be really fun. And those are the two campaigns that are
definitely going to be on the channel and soon. One of them quite soon. One probably
reasonably soon.
Hopefully. You are in the process of planning a D&D campaign set mostly in the Underdark. I don't know if you want to sort of how much you want to talk about that.
I'll just kind of briefly mention it here. It's something that probably won't come out for some time. If we do make it content on the channel, it'll be in some time. I mean, we're doing a lot of Savage Worlds content because that's what people are asking for, and it's something that we're really loving playing right now. At our core, we're a D&D group because that's what we started with, and we still play a D&D game right now, off channel. But it's one that the basic concept is it's all going to be in the Underdark or in underground cities. There'll be some at the beginning, maybe in the surface world.
The impression I've got from it's got an element of sort of the Dragon Age sort of dwarven stronghold, or like Orzammar in the Deep Roads kind of.
It's got very much that because I rob from Dragon Age constantly in all games I run.
And now that I've become sort of at your urging a pretty big Dragon Age fan, I've started to notice sort of more and more.
So I have to be a little less thinly veiled in my clear ripoffs, but with the very much like a city that sees itself as the wall between the surface world and the creatures below, and you guys are going to, it's kind of they're partnering with a person who's going to be doing adventuring excursions into the Underdark for profit, as well as doing kind of trade deals and stuff with this dwarven stronghold. It's going to kind of be a campaign where a lot of like business sense is going to come into it, which will be very interesting and different. I'm very excited for it. I've done a lot of prep work for it, and at some point it will be played. It will probably be on the channel. I think I'll just kind of leave it at that as far as details, though. And
Yeah,
maybe more as it gets closer.
It sort of was going to come out a while ago. At least that was sort of the idea. It just ended up getting pushed by scheduling and availability and just other content and stuff. So, for those of you out there who are D&D fans and want to see us do a D&D campaign, we are working on it. Sort of.
Yeah.
It is sort of in the
I could
works,
probably
but,
run it any day now. It's just a matter of getting.
I'm pretty sure my character is statted out somewhere here. There's the problem with this room is there are character sheets everywhere. There's the giant stack of former/dead characters,
which is
somewhere over there, and then there's just like character sheets there's character sheets there.
We need to kind of sort through and go to all the dead or ended campaigns.
Yeah, we should also get folders just for like to put character sheets when we're not using them for ongoing stuff.
That would be very smart.
We probably won't do that.
Probably won't. That sounds like a moderate amount of effort, which might stop us. But hey, that is a really good idea. We have one other thing.
So we've been sort of talking about this all day of how much we've been talking about how much we want to talk about this. I struck upon an idea some months ago that I sort of immediately approached Erickson and Skler about. Both of them were immediately excited about it. So we sort of, all of us really jumped heavy into the prep work for this campaign. And that's what it is. It is a tabletop RPG campaign.
Yes.
But it's a little different.
It's going to be very different. Lots of post work done. A lot of pre work done.
It's
as well.
It is incredibly detail oriented, so therefore the amount of work that I've had to and am going to continue to have to put into it is immense.
And we're hoping for it to be fairly interactive as well.
Yes,
which is going to be very exciting.
And because of sort of the amount of work we're all putting into it, we want the post production side of it to be very impressive as well. So when it comes out, it is going to be much more sort of dressed up than a lot of other things. There will at least be some music,
some maybe custom homemade tracks involved,
which is one of the things that makes me the most excited about it. Is the work on that front that's sort of already been done. That was one of the first things that got sort of finished for it, that we all just kind of fell in love with. I really want to just talk about it because I'm so excited about it.
But we need to...
I want there to be a sort of true reveal, and when it comes out, I don't want it to sort of necessarily come out blind, but I want it to be really sort of concrete before we give a lot of detail about it. What we sort of agreed to say was, if you're fans of shows like True Detective,
or true crime stuff in general,
this campaign might be for you.
It'll definitely be for you.
We're just all really putting a lot of work into it, which is, it's sort of the first campaign that we've worked on that where even the players have contributed as much to it as they are. But at the same time, I can't talk to the players about my prep work at all, just by the nature of what it is I'm working on. So,
it's a ways away, but it'll be worth the wait.
But we did want to, hopefully that will be this year. But it also may not, just because of the amount of work that we have to do.
A little last couple things. I mean, that's the live play coming up. We'll still be doing our bonus actions for the 2 or 3 of you that'll watch it. We love making them, so we're keeping them.
And we will continue doing help actions as well. At some point, we'd like to expand those into... It's pretty much all been D&D 5th edition content so far. We'd like to expand those into some other systems.
Or more generic advice.
And more generic advice as well. But those will continue to be
and for those of you, I mean, I don't think either of us foresee this video getting a ton of views or a bunch of people looking at it, because I feel like, as of right now, at the very least, people who come to our channel are kind of coming for one thing or the other, kind of like a specific sort of type of video we release that they like to watch. But those of you watching this, please, in the comments, say what you like. What brought you to the channel? What was the first video you saw? And what has made you subscribe or made you care enough to watch a video where we're just reviewing and going over our plans for the future. Are you big into the reviews? Are you big into the commander deck techs? Are you big into, like, we're going to be kind of releasing a lot of the same stuff we've been releasing and tons of this new stuff we've been talking about as well. But any sort of that kind of content that the people want, we are here for the people. And so we are happy to
and I would really like to reach a point where we're doing a lot more sort of specific responses, where a lot more of the help actions are answering specific questions about about Savage Worlds or about Dungeons and Dragons, or like where a lot more of the bonus action discussions we're having are sort of viewer suggested and stuff like that. Like I'd really like to reach that point, and we in general want to continue to do just writing advice videos, and yeah, we're definitely going to continue to do reviews and stuff like that. But we do really want to know, like, what you guys want to see. I mean, we have at least somewhat the capacity to record video game gameplay.
Yeah.
If that's the type of thing people would be interested in seeing, I've always loved the idea of doing a series of playing video games, treating them as RPGs, especially as a group, because that's something we've sort of begun to do in a couple of different multiplayer games, and it's just like, it's really excellent.
It's very fun.
Or like just sort of more board game type stuff, or like we have the capacity to do a lot. We'd kind of like to know what you guys want to see, or what you guys are interested in seeing, or what you just liked from the channel so far.
And the big, most important part of this whole video, the thing to kind of to wrap it up, put our period on the end of this sentence, is a thank you. We, like I said earlier on in this video, we started this for fun. We wanted to make videos, and we were like, people responded to it, that'd be neat. So every like, every comment, everything is so appreciated. It's so cool.
And the fact that it's just been overwhelmingly positive is huge for us.
It's awesome. And we don't plan on going anywhere. We plan to continue making this content, and we appreciate everyone who watches it and everyone who enjoys it.
No, yeah, we really would not be here without all of you. So thank you very much for all of the support that you guys have just shown in general so far.
I think that's where we'll wrap up this review and teasers for the future. Again, thank you everyone for watching. Please, down in the comments, tell us the kind of content you'd like to see, what brought you to the channel. Now go forth, slay dragons, sling spells, roll dice, and enjoy your downtime activities. Thank you, everybody. You know what? I can do it. Trust me.
Okay.
We got this.
We won't find out till the end of the video whether that's
Find
true.
out next time. This time. At the end of this time. Right then. Feel good to go?
We're recording.
Okay. Here's the part where I freeze you because I didn't think of what to say before I was like confidently about to start an intro.
Hey everybody, Will here from... Sorry, I almost didn't say your name.
Matt and Will here from Downtime Activities.